he's got quite a lot on his plate. It's quite a lot he's already pledged to do. I mean, if we move on to some of his priorities for the first few days of his presidency, I mean, I don't know if you saw, but his chief of staff issued a memo to all the White House prospective staffers on Saturday, in which they set out quite a few things that Biden is planning to do by executive order the minute he enters the White House. So the travel ban on majority Muslim countries, rejoining the Paris Climate Accords, extending the limits on student loan payments, a whole series of things that he's going to do straight away. So to give a sense of change and a sense of old politics coming back again. So do you think, are you impressed by Biden's policy energy, and are you looking forward? Do you think he's got a lot to do, or do you think there will be a flurry of activity which slightly runs out, which is my fear?
Well, I'd say the interesting thing about Joe Biden is, he's the most experienced and oldest person to take the presidency. And you don't have that kind of excitement, which you and I might remember when there was a young Barack Obama or a young Bill Clinton, these sort of unknown or largely unknown governors or junior senators. Biden's a very well-known quantity. And I don't think you have that air of excitement about a new dawn, but you do have an enormous sense of a chapter closing, the Trump chapter. And by the things that Biden will do in those first 100 days, it's always the test of an American president ever since FDR. So it'll be it's still in many ways the first few weeks of the Biden presidency. There you go. It's a Freudian slip. Will be actually still defined by Donald Trump.
And of course, the promised second day in office will get Biden onto the topics which will dominate his first few weeks, no matter what he thinks, which is to say the pandemic.
My first 100 days won't end the COVID-19 virus. I can't promise that. But we did not get into this mess quickly. We're not going to get out of it quickly. It's going to take some time.
So that is going to be a major part of the politics of the next few months, irrespective of any other priorities Biden may hope to set out, isn't it?
Well, I think, we're in an unusual situation because normally presidents serve 2 terms. And when you have a president who's only served 1 term, there's normally a crisis. There's normally a reason why they've only served 1 term. And even I personally think Donald Trump would have been re-elected but for COVID. COVID has created obviously a crisis in every country. And so Biden starts with both a kind of health crisis, made more complicated by the US's problematic, to put it mildly, healthcare system. Although they are making quite a lot of vaccinations, I think it's worth noting, more than any other country, as far as I can see. He's got a health crisis. He's also got an economic crisis. And if I think what he's going to bring is kind of rationality, science. You're not going to have a president telling you to inject yourself with some unknown drug or pretend the virus doesn't exist. I think a lot of these things are going to feel extraordinary just because they're very normal and ordinary and very similar to what other countries have seen from their political leaders, but Americans haven't. So I think you'll have a kind of big emphasis on science and expertise in the pandemic. And then when it comes to the economic recovery, there will be an absolute sort of classic, quite Democrat style, i.e. to the left a bit of American politics, big fiscal stimulus, big impetus on getting things building, unemployment checks, a big Green Deal. So I think the economy and health will dominate these early periods.